We speak Tuesday midday, 18 days into this. The airport's on the move, but earlier on the airport's operations were suspended, the airspace closed for a period of time. So for people who will be watching this, who may have a real worry about safety and security, what's your message? And just walk us through how difficult this sort of stop-start kind of atmosphere is.
Well, firstly, the ability to detect and respond to threats as they've unfolded have been very, very effective and efficient. We've closed airspace, we've opened it as the threat level has changed, and we've been able to keep aircraft in the air and obviously to route through corridors that are properly designated by the GCAA across here, and obviously holding aircraft at outstation, making sure that they can be safely diverted if there is a threat. We facilitated the journeys of over 1 million passengers over the last 17 days, and the recovery rate is significant. We're back up to about 40-45% of normal traffic movements.
Talk to me about what you've been doing very specifically to support passengers.
Well, first of all, when schedules are disrupted, and in a normal day we would handle something like 320,000 customers through DXB. So when that supply chain gets interrupted, it's incredibly important that we keep people informed, keep people already at the airport safe and secure whilst we dealt with the backlog and got people to the places they needed to be, and also provided the information to make sure that people only came to the airport when they needed to be. That seems to have worked pretty well. The airport has remained calm and composed, and the many different comments we're getting from our customers, I think, suggests that for the most part we're doing a reasonably good job.
Talk to me about the collaboration with other airports to ensure that you are getting as many people on the move as possible.
So what we've done is we've worked closely with all of the other airports in the region to make sure that the number of flights is carefully scheduled and predicted in advance so that we can make the best use of the limited capacity that is available, which has enabled us to minimize delays and to get as many people moving as we possibly can.
Operational recovery isn't just about restoring flights, it's about ensuring the stability and security of the entire ecosystem. Can you just speak to that as a challenge?
Indeed. Well, if you look at the fact that from when an aircraft takes off from a overseas origin and lands here in Dubai, the amount of steps in that journey and the number of people and different organisations involved is quite incredible. And obviously we've got a duty of care to make sure that that supply chain is working as effectively and efficiently as possible. And the liaison we've had with air traffic controllers, with all of the different government organisations that have managed to keep all those airways open and yet safe and secure has been incredible. The liaison we've had with the airlines, the handling companies, with civil defence, all of our operations teams, everyone, the retailers that have kept the food on, in our restaurants and bars here in the airports. I mean, everyone has played an incredible part. And we're always reminded that this is a magnificent team effort. And when times of crisis hit us, the way we respond, I think, has reminded us of the sheer dedication and commitment of our people.
There are airlines who have suspended flights. I think British Airways through July, and others who have suspended flights for the time being. What is your message to the aviation industry at this point?
I think most of the problem has been insurance, and I think if foreign governments would underwrite, which surely for them should be a relatively easy thing to do, the operation of their airlines to the UAE, then obviously we'll do everything we can to facilitate those. But I think that's the attitude that's been shown by a lot of airlines coming in, that they are getting that support from governments to underwrite their insurance policies.
So are you prioritising Emirates at this point, the flag carrier here?
So we're not turning anyone away that wants to mount an operation. Obviously with the limited capacity, particularly through the air corridors, we've got to do things to limit the delays, and we are working very, very closely with all the stakeholders.
How are you managing, for example, with an incident like the fuel tanks being hit either by a rocket or by debris, and the fires that ensued. I mean, that was very close, of course, to this airport.
Well, the first thing, obviously, is safety and security, and the communication down our lines of command has been so effective and efficient. We've been able to get everyone to a place of safety very, very quickly. The civil defence were there within minutes and to contain the situation, and you know, the normal operation, I think, resumed fairly shortly thereafter.
I used the airport in Abu Dhabi very early on Sunday morning. It was a seamless experience. I flew back into Dubai that same day. I have to say, a seamless experience, very efficient, very effective. So as a resident here who was coming home, I have to say I have first-hand experience of the way that this airport is operating. It was good to see the shops open, the restaurants open. What sort of impact do you believe this might have on the operations here going forward? I'm thinking a little bit more long term. How do you bounce back from this?
The aviation ecosystem in the Middle East is incredibly important to the world. When you consider the amount of capacity that comes through the hubs in the region, the world cannot do without that. I mean, 1/3 of the world's population lives within 4 hours flying time of Dubai, and 2/3 within 8 hours flying time. So that capacity in world terms is incredibly important. And we will bounce back from the current situation very, very quickly. Of that, I'm very, very convinced.
When the missiles stop, and they haven't yet, thankfully there are less inbound and they are being intercepted at an incredibly efficient rate. When those stop, how quickly can you bounce back to normal operations?
We are doing everything we can to preserve both the capability and the confidence to bring our operations up to 100% capacity as quickly as we possibly can.